This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on a Tuesday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. I hope you and yours are doing well. I am live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. We appreciate Derek Daniel for sponsoring the program. Call Derek Daniel for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there for all your home, life, auto, insurance needs. He can take care of you right here off McFarland Boulevard. So we appreciate Derek Daniel for putting us up every day and sponsoring and hosting the program. We appreciate you watching us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, the BamaCentral Facebook page, listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. We really, really appreciate it if you're an Apple Podcast listener, if you take about 30 seconds today to go ahead and give us a review. We got a lot of listeners, not very many reviews. So if you got any time today and you love the show, go in there and give us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'd really, really appreciate it. The program is also brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. We appreciate Purple Turtle Roofing. You can visit them online at roofturtle.com for all of their products and services, metal roofs, shingle roofs, commercial roofs, industrial roofs. It really doesn't matter what your roofing situation is. Purple Turtle Roofing can take care of you. So check them out today at roofturtle.com. We're going to have a lot of fun today with my friend Theo Fernandez. You follow him at Theo Fernandez __ on the Twitter machine, covering all things Alabama athletics for BamaCentral.com, and currently working for Fox Sports, covering the World Cup that is coming up next month. So can't wait to have a little soccer talk next month, just here and there as we watch the nations battle it out in the World Cup. But today we're going to head out to the voicemail line. I got 2 voicemails today. We appreciate everybody who calls us on the voicemail line at 205-462-7340, extension 800. You can leave us a voicemail with your thoughts, questions, queries, or concerns. We're going to go out to the voicemail line. We're going to briefly touch on Alabama, the SEC softball tournament that started today. Alabama doesn't start till Thursday. We will have Katie Wyndham join us on Thursday to talk about Alabama in the SEC tournament. So we'll briefly mention that. There's another women's story that is a little bit spicy in terms of the Alabama-Auburn rivalry. So we'll mention that as well. But most of our time will be spent on football. I've got 2 football topics that I think will carry the day. Which Alabama football player has the most to prove in 2026? Is it one of the transfers? Is it Ryan Coleman-Williams? Seems like the easiest, lowest hanging fruit, but I think you can go into the running back room. I think you can go into either tackle situation, flip to the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of players that have something to prove. So I think Theo and I will have a pretty good conversation about that in just a little bit as well. And we invite you to jump in and give us your comments, questions, or thoughts on that as well. So with that, good morning, Theo. How we doing? You're looking great, sir.
Thank you, Joe. I'm doing great out here. I had my first day yesterday. Just awesome, man. I got paid to watch baseball and, clip off highlights and edit, and they're kind of easing me into things. But, man, it's hard to not be in a great mood out here. I understand why a lot of people live in L.A., given
there you go.
Everything.
Are you already friends with Colin Cowherd?
I think I've got to build up to that. I think we're at least 3 weeks away from that one.
All right, so in 3 weeks, we'll expect you to orchestrate Colin Cowherd joining us one morning. That's an assignment for a later date. Theo, why don't we start with the voicemail line? Because I think my man Hunter Brantley has some baseball conversations. I think Everett Osmer has a question about tonight's baseball game as well. So we'll start with the voicemail line. We'll react to each voicemail. I got Hunter and Everett Osmer on the voicemail line. You guys can call at 205-462-7340, extension 800.
I watched a little bit of the pod yesterday, and I saw where y'all were talking about changes to the NCAA tournament in basketball, going from 64 teams to 76 teams. And yes, that is the worst tragedy in the history of college athletics. They just ruined the best tournament in American sports history. Ruined it. They just ruined it for inexplicable reasons that I can't even fathom. Like, it doesn't benefit anyone to expand the tournament. That's besides the point. Because I saw today where there will be an ABS system in the SEC baseball tournament. And I've been seeing a lot of the reactions on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. And they're all like, this is bad. This is terrible. I don't love this. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? And I could not disagree more, because this is the best thing that's happened for college baseball in quite some time. This is great. This is great for the betterment of the sport, because these umpires, not trying to offend anybody, apologies if I do, they are awful. They're terrible. They are not good umpires at all. The strike zone's inconsistent. They don't know the difference most of the time between a ball and a strike. Why? I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard to get it right. But they have the hardest time getting calls right over and over again. They consistently are wrong. You look at this past weekend, State in Texas, umpire screws over, I don't know who was hitting. Can't think of the name off the top of my head. But O'Connor, he was pissed. He had the right to be pissed off. Got thrown out of the game for it. And that's the problem. We need to get these calls right. I don't care how it happens. Get the calls right. That eliminates so much from this game. Because now we don't have people screaming and hollering about, oh, if that was called a strike, if that was called a strike, we've been out of the inning. Oh, if that was called a ball, then that would have walked the bases loaded. We would have had the tying run up, top of the order. There's one out instead of two outs. We had a chance to win. Blah, 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 blah. We don't have to hear that anymore. We don't have to hear people complain about getting screwed over by the umpire. You know what I'm saying? This is great. This is the best thing that's happened for college baseball in a hot minute. Embrace it. Enjoy it. My one gripe is, however, why are we doing this in the middle of the season? You know what I mean? Biggest conference tournament in college baseball, and we're throwing this out there. You know, I don't understand. I don't get that. But it is what it is. Let's see what happens. It might work, might not. Might be a good thing. Could be. I don't think so. A bad thing. Let's just see what happens.
There we go. Let's see what happens with automatic balls and strikes, or basically the system, the challenging of the system that's going to be happening in Birmingham here very soon. 3 weeks away from the SEC tournament. Hunter Brantley on the voicemail line bringing it. I appreciate you, Hunter. That's great. That's a great call. And I totally agree. I think that it's going to be a very good thing for college baseball. If it is already in the MLB and they're challenging balls and strikes right there at the plate, you're hitting the head and you're embarrassing umpires because they don't know what the strike zone actually is. Look, I'm all for it. I'm all for getting the calls right. I'm all for the I think the coaches get 3 challenges per game is the way that I read that. Theo, correct me here in just a minute. But I think the coaches get 3 challenges per game on balls and strikes. And the only thing I disagree with, Hunter, is you talk about why are you rolling out in Hoover. Well, think back to, was it 2 seasons ago? It was 2 or 3. It was 2 or 3 seasons ago that you debuted the green base, the extra base in Hoover, and that's really where it became popularized. I guess we see the green base all throughout college baseball, nowadays, and basically making extra room for the runner to run down the first baseline. And I don't really think that changes the game that much. I don't even think that these challenges change the game that much inherently. What I think it does is gives accountability to the umpires. And as Hunter says, I mean, your impression of a distressed fan was great. As you said, there's not going to be the distressed fans crying about missed strikes or missed third strikes or missed fourth balls. I think it's a great thing. So if you didn't see it in Hoover this year at the SEC tournament, there will be a challenge system for balls and strikes. Theo, you love it or you hate it?
I have 2 notes on this. One is a very, very valid criticism. The other is a take that I may rightfully get attacked for. So first, I believe that if you are going to introduce something in one conference, right, and if we're looking into the long-term viability, this has to be something that the NCAA goes all or nothing on. I think it would be very unpractical for a conference like the SEC to introduce ABS, right? To use it, but then you can't use it late in the season, right? You can't use it in the playoffs or in the tournament because it's just a conference rule. Now, the reason I'm not looking at it as something that can feasibly be done nationally is because I would love to watch someone go up to a Patriot League athletic department and tell them that they need to introduce 12 Hawkeye cams to use the ABS system. I mean, like, it is just, we know the direction this is going in. You guys have all seen the baseball revenue numbers. Try going to any of, like, SEC, the Power Four, sure. The Sun Belt, big enough conference, I'll give it to you. Maybe, like, you can get them on board. Try going to these smaller conferences and saying, hey, yeah, you guys got to go buy this to play baseball now. That's not going to fly.
Fair take. Continue.
The second criticism. Am I the only one who enjoys just the controversy of bad calls? Like, I don't know. I think the ABS is a good thing for the MLB, right? I think, first of all, it's fun to watch. It's enjoyable. Second of all, yeah, there are some pretty egregious calls. Can't we keep just a few of those in the college game? Like, can't we? What are sports? Like, it's a sacred act of watching baseball to watch a horrible strike three be called to end the inning and just having to hang your head because you know there's nothing you can do about it. You guys are going to miss that feeling when it's gone. You know you will. I mean, good and bad, like, it is a part of the sport. And I understand getting rid of it in the MLB. Let college baseball keep this sacred element of the sport that has been a thing for 100 years.
What's the difference between MLB and college baseball to where MLB, you want to get it right, and college baseball, it's okay if one side gets hurt feelings because the umpire doesn't make the right call? What's the difference?
Because I think hurt feelings are a lot more fun at the college athletics level. You guys know I'm right here.
There's no other time when hurt feelings are fun unless it's your rival. Like when my side wins a rivalry game, whether it's pro or college, okay, I'm okay if the other side feels bad about themselves and feels bad about, the umpire, ifs and buts are candy and nuts. Yeah, we'd all have a Merry Good Christmas. But no, you get it right. The challenge system, throw the red flag, you tap the helmet, you get it right. We have the technology. We can fix them. We have the technology. We want to get it right. I think it's important to get it right. But your first point on affordability is spot on and off overlooked. So I ask you back to the first point. Do you think that you'll see the NCAA basically just implement this for conference tournaments where there's just one singular location and the World Series in Omaha? Or do you think this is just the SEC's experimenting with this? Maybe the power of what's the future of ABS?
Maybe I'm overselling a little bit the difficulty of getting these cameras.
I think any expense at this point in college athletics is something that every athletic program will be considering.
Like, I think at the end of the day, the SEC would do it, especially given the aspect of with how many pro players are in the SEC. You want to get them ready for it, right? We're still viewing college sports through the developmental lens. Like, I absolutely think the SEC would, whatever costs. I don't know. I admittedly don't know how much it costs. I just remember seeing a video of the, installation of the cams in the MLB. I really struggle to see a world where you can talk these smaller schools into it. And then I think it just becomes a thing of, well, do you as the SEC want to have this rule in place for the regular season, knowing that you won't be able to use the ABS system in the NCAA tournament? Maybe you do. But I think it's a cool experiment. I'm a little uncertain on whether or not this thing has a long-term future in the college game. But with that being said, I mean, things are only going to get cheaper, right? Things are going to get easier to do. So, yeah, I think if I was a betting man, I'd probably put money on this being a thing in some capacity in college sports within 5 years. I just don't know at what level.
Sure. So we'll see what happens. And I think that they've used the Hoover tournament before, just like the Green Bays, to experiment with different things. And so I think it's a good place to expand because look, you want to win an SEC championship, yes, but I think a lot of the coaches and I think a lot of the programs view the SEC tournament a little bit like an exhibition to make sure that they're ready for the College World, the NCAA tournament the next week. Would you agree, Theo?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, so probably a good place to experiment with some rules. Let's go back. Thank you, Hunter, for the voicemail. Appreciate your passion. Appreciate the topic. Let's go back to the voicemail line and find our friend Everett. 205-462-7340, extension 800.
Hey, guys. This is Everett from Marion. First off, I want to say, Theo, I absolutely love your haircut, and I want your predictions on the Alabama versus Troy baseball game Tuesday night, I think. Or, yes. And, Joe, we've been wondering where's your green cup at? And thank you. Well said.
Hey, it's Everett on the voicemail line. Thank you so much for calling. The green cup is still at home. I've been going to through the Dunkin' Donuts drive through the last handful of mornings because my girlfriend's father brought me a gift card for Christmas, and I've been using it. So I've been enjoying that. I will get back to regular coffee out of the green cup very, very soon, Everett. So don't worry. It is in safekeeping. If Alabama does win a national championship, that in football, that the green cup has your name on it, so it is still in safekeeping. Theo, I didn't even notice you had a haircut. Looking good, man. Well done. Good eye, Everett. Tell us what we're going to see tonight. I know I'm on the baseball beat, so I'll be covering the game, Alabama and Troy, this evening. I saw your tweet about JT Blackwell. What's going to be on the menu tonight for Alabama baseball? Hold on 2 seconds. Now go.
Yeah, JT Blackwood has been a solid arm throughout the season. I mean, he's everything you want in a midweek arm, if we're being honest. So, I mean, he has not been blown up in any of his starts with the exception of really the Southern Miss game. He kind of came in and righted the ship 2 weeks ago against UAB after getting into a 7-0 hole early. He kind of helped Alabama settle down a little bit. Not that the bats really picked up at all, but you're going to get 3 innings out of him in an ideal world and then turn it right over to the next guy, probably Luke Smyers. It's funny. I was thinking about it earlier. Like, this is really going to be the last time that we see a lot of these arms throw this year. And like Luke Smyers, for example, I'm really, really excited to see what he does. I'm honestly a little surprised he wasn't named the starter because I would have thought that Rob wanted to give him another opportunity out there. But then when you consider, like, okay, well, you really do need to win this game. Like, as far as a midweek goes, this is about as high pressure as it gets, given the RPI implications late in the season. So Blackwood's the best choice out there as far as the midweek guys to get you started, hopefully get you through the first 3 innings without much incidents. And then, like these arms, they are hard to predict at the end of the day, but Alabama should win this game with little problem.
6 o'clock tonight. You'll be able to see it on SEC Network Plus or the ESPN Plus. Basically, if you got the Plus subscription, I'll be tweeting about it on the X Machine at Joe Gaither 6 or Twitter, if you as it used to be known.
Not making the trip down there.
No, come on now. No, I'm not. I know you did it like 2 years ago, twice, right?
Yeah, me and Will Miller, we had a great trip down there. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to be saving the gas tank right there and watching it in the living room. Because we'll see Alabama and South Carolina this weekend, and then back home for Ole Miss. And I will be up in Hoover for all of Alabama's games. So that will be my driving for Alabama baseball. Which is not really that bad of a drive either. So, so appreciate Everett Osmer joining us on the voicemail line, asking about the baseball game. 6 o'clock against Troy tonight. We'll see if the boys can squeak out the final midweek game of the season. All right, Theo, what you want to get into? Let's knock out two lady stories, and then we'll go into football. If that sounds good. Really, on the field, we're gonna have Katie join us on Thursday, but on the field is SEC tournament play. Get started today. Really getting started in about an hour and a half. Auburn and Missouri at 11. You'll be able to see all this on SEC Network. Kentucky, Mississippi State right after it at 2:00. Ole Miss, South Carolina at 5:00. So 3 games today opens up your SEC tournament. Kentucky, the hosts, got the 15 seed, kind of, going to the worst team in the SEC's home stadium to play the SEC tournament. A little bit funny to me, but we'll see what happens on day number 1. Alabama, as we said, opening up Thursday. Katie's going to tell you about that. Alabama will be taking on the winners. The line goes: the winners of Kentucky, Mississippi State plays Arkansas on Wednesday. And so Alabama will take on either Arkansas or Kentucky or Mississippi State on Thursday, and that'll be at about 1:00 or so Central Time on Thursday on SEC Network. So how you feeling, Theo? I mean, Oklahoma on the other side, Oklahoma and Texas, both on the other side of the bracket for Alabama. You do have Florida on your side of the bracket, so Florida a little bit dangerous right there. But really, the two big bad beasts, and Tennessee as well. I mean, you lost your series to Tennessee. Tennessee, the 5 seed, also on the other side of the bracket. So really, really nice draw for Alabama to make it all the way to Saturday's final.
Yeah, I mean, you took care of business, right? You get rewarded for putting together a very strong season. And it's funny because Alabama should be in the 1 seed right now, right? If you hadn't scored 1 run over the final 2 games of the series against Oklahoma, I believe you would have had the tiebreaker and you're looking at the 1 seed. But no, I mean, this is a pretty clear, like, you belong in the SEC championship game, right? I mean, the path is lined up. Now, with that being said, like, I don't think we're getting any pitchforks or anything if you're not able to win the SEC title.
No,
or
right.
If you were to bow out early, right? Because I don't think there's a world where you fall short of a super regional hosting spot now. Like, I'd imagine that's fully locked up. Obviously, Katie Wyndham can give us a better, answer on that. But I think you've done enough. We saw Jocelyn Brisky lock up her, what I think would be shocking if she did not win SEC Pitcher of the Year. Like, you did everything you needed to. Hats off. Great season, Alabama softball. Give Pat Murphy Coach of the Year. And now, I mean, you have, let's be real, Oklahoma has a much harder path to the title game as the 1 seed because there's no sorry, Florida, but you're not Texas. You're not that good of a team.
Texas and Tennessee also. Like, those 3 teams are going to cannibalize themselves.
Yes. Alabama will get a battle. Not everyone's battle test in the SEC, but you'll get a worn down team in the championship game in an ideal world for the team. I think you're happy with this for Alabama softball.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get deeper on that with Katie on Thursday. You'll have 2 days of SEC softball to enjoy before you hear Katie. So today, 11 a.m., the Auburn Tigers are opening things up over in Kentucky. All right, so flip it. One other thing with the ladies' side. I don't know much about this lady, but I scroll on the Twitter all the time, and Justin Lee is an Auburn reporter, tweets out, Auburn's former 5-star commit, #1 recruit nationally in her class, Elizaveta Grebenkova has flipped her commitment. This is a gymnast, has flipped her commitment from Auburn to Alabama. I'm reading just briefly about Elizaveta Grebenkova, and she's got Olympian parents. She's been competing for ever and ever and ever. Won the 2025 Nastia Lukin Cup Junior Co-Champion. So big bad gymnast, awesome gymnast. Alabama and Ashley Johnson flips away the #1 gymnast in the upcoming recruiting class from Auburn to Alabama.
Yeah, that's a fun story, right? That is a juicy. I'm not a big gymnast person. I don't know much about the sport. I'm impressed by what they're able to do out there, and I can't do any of that. But yeah, I think we could have predicted what the social media reaction would have been like when this news broke.
Yeah, Theo, how are you on the balance beam? I don't think that I can walk down the balance beam, but if you ask me to do a twist or a turn or anything else other than walk a straight line, I'm falling off.
Yeah, like frankly, I don't know if all my ligaments survive the balance beam. Like I just don't know. It defies the laws of physics, man, what they're able to do. So hats off. Maybe one day I'll do some, I don't know, calisthenics, like balance stuff. Try to practice or get myself physically able to do it, but I don't think that day's coming anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so either. No disrespect to you, Theo. I think those ladies are pretty special, and the men they do gymnastics as well. But Alabama on the ladies' side, we'll get more about Elizaveta Grabenkova from Katie Wyndham, and I'm sure she's going to talk about it on Crimson Flame, her weekly podcast that features Alabama women's athletics and covers Alabama women's athletics. We'll hear from Katie on Thursday. We'll get a softball tournament preview, and we'll get her thoughts on Miss Elizaveta Grabenkova. She's got a fun name to say, I'll say that. So I hope that she can rock it on the balance beam and kill it on the uneven bars and have a great floor routine. And, look, we didn't know much about Suni Lee when she actually went to Auburn, but once she was there for those 3 and 4 years, that became a little bit of a thing. And maybe Miss Elizaveta Grabenkova is a gymnast at that same level with the Olympic parentage and really the high pedigree as a recruit. So we'll see if she can become a thing or become a bit of a story here in Tuscaloosa as well. Theo, let's take a pivot and jump into football. Give the people what they want. How about that?
Yes, they've been waiting.
Got to give the people what they want, and what they want is Purple Turtle Roofing. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. You can visit us online at roofturtle.com, or you can call at 877-PT-ROOF-5. That's 877-787-6635 today for your free roof inspection. Purple Turtle Roofing serves all over the Southeast, anywhere in the state of Alabama and all over the Southeast. So give them a call today. Check them out online at roofturtle.com. Roofing with heart, built to last. Purple Turtle Roofing. All right, Theo, we are into the doldrums of the offseason, so let's start get a little bit creative, and I want to talk about who has a lot to prove. I mean, it's a huge year for Alabama. It is a huge year for all kinds of Alabama players. Who has the most to prove? Which player on the 2026 roster has the most to prove? Is it Sabian Brown? I'm the best corner in college basketball or in college football. Draft me in the top 10. Is it Bray Hubbard? I'm better than a second-round pick. I am playing safety as a first-round pick, really type player. Is it Caleb Woodson? I am not really a defensive back anymore. I'm a full-time linebacker. Is it QB Reese? 3-star, so what? I'm QB Reese from Ramsey High School, and I've worked my tail off to earn this position and become Alabama's next dog at linebacker. Who is it a transfer? Terrence Green. It didn't really work out for me at Oregon. Devin Tompkins. People say I'm too soft against the run and I can't play on the defensive line in the NFL. Like, who do we think is the player with the most to prove? Ryan Coleman Williams seems like the easiest and obvious choice, and I think it's a great choice because of the sophomore slump and 17 drops on 100 and some odd targets over the last 2 years. Can the kid actually catch the football? Or really, look in the running back room. You have all kinds of question marks. Can A.K. Deere get himself on the field? Is E.J. Crowell the biggest, baddest early enrollee in Alabama history ever? Is he going to supplant Ryan Williams as the greatest 17-year-old early enrollee that's ever played at Alabama? Like, I think you can go in any direction. Is Austin Mack, does he have the most to prove, holding off 5-star quarterback Keelan Russell? What do you think about this conversation, Theo? Who has the most to prove on the Alabama football team this year?
I think it's 1,000,000% Ryan. I mean, I'm not even going to elaborate all that much because we know what the storyline is, right? We know that here's a guy who, he has about as much to prove as any player in the nation. And we'll talk about that a lot throughout the next couple weeks. So we're not going to talk about Ryan Williams right now because I think it's I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he's the answer. As far as somebody else on the team,
think about that real quick. Think about that real quick. I have a question about Ryan.
Yes.
So you want to go, you want to be a little more creative. I appreciate that. But sticking with Ryan right there, because I think that probably is the right answer. How many drops can he afford? Because the narrative is, he can't catch the football. If he has one, the people are going to explode. And look, he's a human. He's going to have one. He's going to get enough targets to where you're going to drop one ball at least. So what is at 5 drops, it's not that big of a deal. At 3 drops, it's not that big of a deal. But once it becomes 4 drops, he's a bust. Nothing's better. He sucks. Blah, blah, blah. We can't trust him. Where's the line from, he's just getting a lot of targets. Sometimes that was a tough catch. He didn't make it. Versus, bum, not any better. We don't love him. We don't trust him. All cast off Ryan Coleman Williams.
Well, Joe, I'm so glad you asked because this debuts the newest segment of the Joe Gaither Show. Theology has arrived. Thank you, John, for coining the term. Theology 101. A third down or touchdown drop equals 3 normal drops. It's not the number of drops. It's what the drops do for the team. So if you drop that third down slant, or if you, first drive of the game against Georgia, you have a touchdown in your hands and you can't pull it in, that drop is a whole lot more significant than just, a routine first down with 2 more plays.
What 3 drops stick out in your head from last year? Because I have
Georgia
2
one.
big ones. Yeah, that's the big one. I have a pass from the slant or from the slot in the first week against Florida State. And honestly, I have you can go number 3 Georgia in the SEC championship game drop if you want to go there, or for me it didn't matter at all. But the in the end zone against Eastern Illinois, you only have 3 snaps against Eastern Illinois. We're going to run you on a quick out route, and Ty Simpson throws it out to you, and you don't catch it for a touchdown. So maybe those 4 stick out to me in my head.
Yeah, the Eastern Illinois one was the other one I was about to go with, especially because I remember specifically naming a key to the game before Ryan Williams no drops, and and that was obviously. That was a game where the Alabama fan base was not entering the happiest, right? And you saw that boil over with the booing of Connor Talty. Even Ryan, you had a chance to get back in the good graces of anyone, and you couldn't haul that in. The other one that stuck out to me was the Wisconsin drop, because that was one that moved your performance from, wow, Ryan Williams might have had the best game of any receiver in the nation, too, right? Because I think it was the 3rd touchdown he would have had, and he ended up with 156 yards, 2 scores. 180 and 3 looks a whole lot better than that. The fact that, and what do you have, 13 total on the year, I believe?
Oh, drops, yes. He's at 17 across the 2 seasons, yes.
Yeah, 13 drops on the year. You're bound to have some important ones in there. So if Ryan Williams, if the number is 7 drops, but none of them really bit the team at all, you're okay with it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I grew up watching Odell be a superstar for the Giants, and the story of Odell Beckham Jr. was you drop the first down slant, and then you make up for it on 3rd down, right? If Ryan Williams does that, nobody has a problem with what he's doing out on the field. If the drops are, again, biting this team, especially in a world where you're rolling out a freshman quarterback, man, we can't be discussing this. We can't be having this conversation anymore about Ryan Williams drops hurting the team.
Theo, does Alabama have a second receiver that is talented enough to take Ryan Coleman Williams's spot, to take Ryan Coleman Williams' reps? Because Ryan's been plagued by the dropsies again. We're 4 weeks in, and you can't count on him. Is Lazier Brooks talented enough? Is Sadarian Morgan? Obviously, you're going to be missing Noah Rodgers for a little bit of time. Is Derek Meadows a dog enough to go out there and say, I'm that guy? Is it Rico Scott? Does Alabama have a second receiver? If Ryan doesn't return to freshman form, if Ryan doesn't become superstar junior that I think expect him to be, does Alabama have a receiver answer?
I'm so bullish on Derek Meadows right now. His stock just keeps growing and growing in my head. And as I was, watching back some of the illegally recorded A-Day footage that got out there on the internet, right? QBs were, both the guys were consistently throwing passes to Derek Meadows that they didn't throw to any other receiver. They very, very clearly trust him a lot. And I mean, you saw that with the passes out of bounds, right? Sideline. Either we trust that either Derek's going to get it or nobody's going to get it. We saw like Austin Mack on his interception. He threw in double coverage. Hey, not great selection on where to make the pass, but he made it to Derek Meadows. He saw Derek Meadows. Maybe he missed a guy, or maybe he just saw Derek Meadows there and he thought, yeah, I think my guy's a chance to pull this ball down. I think Derek Meadows moves exceptionally well for a guy of his size. I was actually stumbled upon some Hakeem Butler footage, the former Iowa State receiver who he bounced around the NFL a little bit. If you guys have seen Hakeem Butler play football, I think that is who Derek Meadows can be for this Alabama football team. As far as very similar builds, I like Meadows a lot. I don't know how much we're going to see him. I don't know what the ceiling for him is this year, but I think it is very high. Sedarian Morgan, I mean, we know the guy's talented, right? Lazier Brooks is just one of those, like, I don't know, gut tells me we're looking at a sophomore slump. Could be wrong, but that's just, gut is strongly pulling me in that direction. I don't go against my gut all that much. Yeah, at the end of the day, like, if we're in year 3 of Ryan Coleman-Williams and some of this stuff is still boiling over, make no mistake that the talent is in the room to give reps to other players. At the end of the day, you need Ryan for his leadership, right? You lost Jeremy Bernard. You lost your big, experienced leader on the offense. Ryan, it's your time to fill that role. And the best way to fill that role is by being the superstar receiver that, like, everyone knows you're capable of. I don't think we have to have the conversation about, oh, man, who needs to get Ryan Coleman-Williams reps, because I think that he will make the return. I think he's putting up a career year this season. I'm very high on what Ryan Coleman-Williams will do for Alabama. But if I'm wrong, you have the ability to replace him.
I think you're not too far off there. I believe you're falling a little bit into the Ajayi Hall trap of a really strong A-Day. It leads us to envision big roles for a receiver. You couched it a little bit by saying maybe Derek Meadows doesn't get into a big role. I like the Hakeem Butler comparison a lot. Derek Meadows was impressive at A-Day. But at the end of the day, I think if Ryan is unreliable, it's a huge loss for this team. It's a huge, because the electric, I mean, Lazier is he's electric. Lazier is extremely electric, but I tend to side with you on likely sophomore slump, likely sophomore step back a little bit. You need Ryan's home run ability. You need Ryan's, hey man, we need a play right here. It's 3rd and 7. Go get open. Whatever the route is, you have to get open on this route, and the ball is going to be there when you turn around. Catch it, sir. Keep the chains moving. I think that I like Derek Meadows' future. I love Sedarian Morgan's future. I don't trust either one of those guys in critical situations right now for this football team. Now, maybe that changes 3 weeks into the year as they've gotten reps and as they've shown it. But right here in May, if Ryan's not giving you that superstar receiver role, like not just the leadership, which I agree with, I think is a huge part, and I think it's an underrated part, and I think people can't quantify that, so they don't count it. You know, the average fan can't quantify that, so if they didn't see him catch 10 passes for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, well, he was a bum. Well, if he's on the sidelines leading everybody or running, you remember the rideouts used to run the Brotherhood routes. I'll run my route super hard so you get wide open. I think he provides a lot of that leadership and the brotherhood routes and kind of gets that. That's underrated and undervalued. But for this football team, you need him to be that dude.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's a solid correction on maybe I was a little too, optimistic on the other guys. I don't disagree with what you said.
That's okay. I think those guys can be really good. And maybe 3 weeks into the season, I'm like, well, those guys are a lot better than I thought they would be, and their roles are huge. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so you were about to go in a different direction because I think Ryan is probably the right answer of who has the most to prove on this Alabama football team. But I think honestly, I think Grayson Doak. I think you can pick any of these offensive linemen, not named Michael Carroll, because I think we all kind of know or feel like we know what Michael Carroll is going to be. You look at all these offensive linemen, and the perception is you joined a room that's broken. You're all a bunch of poonannies. You can't run the football. Can you prove that you're not a bunch of poonannies and you can move the defensive line off the football? I think you can go with any of these offensive linemen, not named Michael Carroll. If you're going a second direction, who has the most to prove on this Alabama football team?
I think I'm pretty confident in my secondary answer being Yanze Pierre.
Woo!
From the perspective of, well, Alabama, you need this elite edge rusher, right? You need this guy who's going to murder the quarterback who, how many times did we hear the word violence and talk about the word violence throughout the spring? Like, it is time for Yanze Pierre to be a killer for Alabama. And then, the expectations, he frankly didn't do all that much in the grand scheme of things last year. And you still have the expectations.
8 sacks is good.
It's good, right? It's good, but it doesn't jump off the page at you. And even with that, people are talking about you as, oh, wow, here's a first-round draft pick, right? We spent 15 minutes on that last week. The expectations there. The production was previewed, and you're playing a position where, man, I'm sorry, I think Alabama has some talent elsewhere in the room. I don't know what your production looks like if Yanze Pierre isn't the guy. You don't have another Yanze Pierre sitting around on this team. So go out there and get Alabama the 13 sacks. Have a crazy season for this football team. And you will be rewarded with, if you get the number up to like 13, 14, we could very easily be going in the top half of the first round because physically all the gifts are there to be a star at the next level or a big-time player at least. There's a lot, I'd say, riding on this season for Yanze Pierre because at the end of the day, let's just say, hypothetically, the last season was kind of flukish, right? And obviously I know 3 of those sacks came against Tennessee. You had the output over a couple of games that was really strong. If you don't deliver this season, we're not even having a conversation about Yanze Pierre at any level, right? You've previewed to the world what you can do. Now it's either you're going to rise to the occasion or we're going to fall off and we're going to be talking about, okay, Yanze Pierre, where is he going to play college football in 2026? A lot riding for him.
Dallas Turner went 17 overall a handful of years ago, and obviously played Will Anderson second during his time in Tuscaloosa until the year that Anderson went 2, 3 overall, and then 3, Dallas yeah. So you got it. I think Yanze's a good one because Yanze can either go 12, 11, 8 overall, or he can become LT Overton, who went in the 4th round to the Cowboys, because I think that's a good pick. I think if he gets, oh man, 10 sacks, 11 sacks, then he's a top 16 pick. Is that the bar for him? 11 sacks makes him a top 16 pick.
Yeah, over 10.5, I think is my number. I feel good about that.
Yeah. Obviously Derek Thomas at 27. What's the next one? Derek Thomas at 18. Will Anderson at 17.5. Jonathan Allen in 2015 at 12 sacks. Is Yanze Pierre better than Jonathan Allen? Can he get 12.5? I think that would be a monstrous season right there. I think I feel good about putting Yanze at 10.5 this year and that puts him into the 1st round.
Yeah, I completely agree there. A lot of them are.
Yeah, Allen was a first rounder as well for the Commanders at 12 sacks in 2015. So, yeah, I think Yanzi's a great answer. All right, so you went Yanzi as your second. I like that as a really good second. I think that I'm gonna go for my real solid second outside of Ryan Coleman Williams. Ooh, doggy. I think that I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with Devin Tompkins. Because I think Devin Tompkins has everything that you just talked about with Yanzi applies to Devin Tompkins as well. Can he play the run? You saw at SC him get pretty effective against the pass, but he was Mr. Ole. When he was on the defensive line trying to stop the run, going around blockers, trying to use finesse. I think he's going to have to find some get into his strength and really try to become more of that rock and hold the gaps, hold and press the gaps, so that he can stop the run a bit better. But if he can master that aspect of his game, I think he can become a top 2-round pick by being an effective 3 technique for this team, an effective 3 technique that sometimes plays bandit for this team. And I think that if he shows as a strong 3 technique that sometimes plays bandit, he's going to really entice a lot of NFL teams with his versatility. But he's gonna have to play tougher against the run. Now, you heard all spring long, DT, that USC tackle, USC defender, he's good. You heard a lot of good things about him out of the building. I think he has a lot to prove because as a transfer, especially on the defensive line, Theo, I think you can assume that he was compensated fairly well to come to Tuscaloosa. I don't want to speculate the actual number, but whatever fairly well is, defensive line, very valuable. I would say that I would speculate that he was compensated pretty well. So expectations should be high on him. You lost James Smith at the same position, who gave you, honestly, almost nothing. I liked James Smith. I think he's a great athlete, and maybe he turns into a superstar at Ohio State, but it was so few and far between here in Tuscaloosa with these great moments of James Smith. James Smith made more of an impact after the games were over, yelling at Diego Pavia and getting into people's faces after games were over. It might be than when games were actually going. So Devin Tompkins, I think, is my pick for who has the most to prove outside of Ryan Coleman Williams, because I think it's such a position of need for Alabama. If you have a strong 3 technique, you talk about Kane Womack stopping the run, it all really hinges on those 2, 3, 4 guys up front, and Devin Tompkins is going to have a lot to say about that. I'm going to pick Devin Tompkins as my player outside of Ryan Coleman Williams, who has the most to prove in 2026.
I like that. And then one other note on that conversation topic, I was thinking about it as he said it. I don't think it's fair to put any of the running backs as the guy with the most to prove. Just because at the end of the day, Daniel Hill has lived up to whatever his expectations were, right? I think I think you're just about there, right? And I think I think we can talk about A.K. Deer as having some expectations to live up to a year from now. But I don't know. Yes, I think they exist for this year, but I think it pales in comparison maybe to some of the other guys. At the end of the day, when you are a younger player, you'll always have a little less to prove because you'll have more opportunities to prove it if you fall short this year. So I think I'd leave any of the running backs out of it. And then, hey, if we're starting from right now, right, if we're including camp, there is still very much a world where Connor Talty is your starting kicker. And if that happens, will anybody, he'll have as much to prove as Ryan Coleman Williams.
1,000%.
Yes. So that's a possibility, too.
1,000%. We'd love to take your voicemails on this topic. 205-462-7340, extension 800. Who has the most to prove in 2026? Theo, I'm going to save the other topic for tomorrow. It's basically the same thing, but bigger picture. Ari Wasserman wrote on 3 Sports, the top 10, the 10 college football programs facing the most pivotal seasons in 2026. I would argue that Alabama, Kalen DeBoer in year 3, is facing an extremely pivotal decision. Well, pivotal season. If it goes downhill, well, are you restructuring everything and going to look for a coach, or does Kalen DeBoer keep everything steady, or does he take Alabama to the mountain? I think Alabama is facing an extremely pivotal season. Ari Wasserman has Alabama at number 7. We'll talk about that ranking tomorrow. We'll talk about the 6 teams ahead of Alabama on his rankings. Are they really facing a bigger crossroads, a more pivotal season than Alabama? We'll talk about the 6 teams that are ahead of Alabama and our opinions on that. We'll get into more voicemail topics. We'll get into a lot more stuff as far as recapping Alabama baseball against Troy, setting up Alabama softball a little bit further, and getting into a lot more fun this summer, this week, right here on the Joe Gaither Show. Before we get out of here, I want to remind you to follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez __. I want to ask, if you're an Apple Podcast listener, please take 30 seconds today and hit us with a subscribe and a review. A lot of you are downloading the show. The numbers show it in the back end, but not too many reviews on Apple Podcasts. I really would appreciate it. Or on Spotify, whatever podcast platform you're using, to go ahead and look up and give us a review on that platform. It would help spread the show so much. I appreciate everybody who watches the show, who listens to the show, subscribes, rates, reviews, follows Theo Fernandez, follows BamaCentral, and we're going to have a lot more fun the rest of the week right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com.